Good afternoon. How y'all doing? Good. Come on. Let's have it. Everything okay? All right. My name is Bob Certain, and C-I-R-T-I-N, and it's my honor to serve the 275,000 citizens in Greene County as presiding commissioner. Standing here with me is, of course, Sheriff Arnott and Associate Commissioners Bench and Bentley. The Greene County Commission and the sheriff are here today because our citizens have communicated that their top priority is public safety, and it is also our top priority as well. We will hear from the sheriff in just a few minutes after my remarks, and he will give you more details and data on here in just a few minutes on some of the things that we're going to be addressing. We believe critically important decisions will be made today that will in fact impact our ability to keep the citizens safe, especially those citizens who reside in the city of Springfield. In response to Springfield's rising crime rate and the burden of our jail overcapacity, we have recently presented a proposal to the City Council to partner and cost share on a temporary jail facility, and that would allow us to once again house municipal offenders and inmates and support the men and women of the Springfield Police Department and other municipalities in Greene County. At this time, we have not received any communication from the Springfield City Council regarding the proposal that we presented over a week ago, or even any outreach to negotiate the terms from them. The city has said through the media that to enter into a contract for $3 million, they must have that amount on hand. Tonight they will vote on allocation of more than $3 million of funding. As we examined the ordinance that they will be voting on, the city will vote on this evening regarding appropriation of the carryover fund balance and increasing expenses in the amount of $3,213,570. There is no mention of that money. There is no mention of funds being allocated to support this public safety proposal that we presented to the city last week. Rather, it appears they will proceed with their list that includes, among other things, $200,000 for new carpet, $300,000 for Founders Park, $130,640 for a compensation consultant, $175,000 for planning master plan update, and $100,000 for a Kearney Street economic development study. That's nearly $1 million right there. And we made it clear to the council and in the media that we would accept a commitment per year of that amount if it would make this plan more feasible to the city of Springfield. And so we now find ourselves at a critically important crossroads in what is truly a public safety crisis. The county is asking for the city's help in responding to their increasing crime rate in the most prudent and cost-effective way. We recognize that resources limited for both the city and the county are in fact limited. But we also believe public safety is our fiscal priority, and we cannot afford not to respond to this crisis. We have to act to maintain the public safety of our citizens and to keep our region's economy growing. We believe that our proposal is very fair. For example, in 2015, the annual cost of the jail was a little over $13 million. 53% of that total is covered by reimbursement from state and federal governments, as well as other counties, inmates, and fees. Of the remaining 47% of the cost of the jail, a Springfield resident pays $14.47 per person per year. A resident of the unincorporated area of Greene County pays about 2 times more than that at $34.66 per person per year. I'm going to repeat that. Springfield residents pay $14.47 per person per year. A resident of an unincorporated area of Greene County pays about 2 times more, or in other words, $34.66 per year per person. Folks, we need the city's help to maintain public safety. In response to a court order, the county is currently spending $3 million to add courtroom facilities in the judicial courts building, which has also required us to move the prosecutor's office to an off-campus building that has to be renovated before they can move in. As well, because of data collected from our extensive experience in reciprocal jail agreements, we have come to the conclusion that this temporary facility option is the most prudent for the short term and makes the most fiscal sense as we pivot to working on longer-term solutions to the public safety challenges we face, not only related to the jail, but the entire criminal justice system for which the county is responsible. We spent approximately $500,000 on reciprocal agreements last year with other jails, and while we budgeted that amount for this year, we have already exceeded it, and we are not halfway through the year yet. And so it is projected that we will spend $1 million, over half of what we had budgeted, in reciprocity with other jails this calendar year. As the city of Springfield tomorrow begins to send municipal offenders to other jails, we had hoped that the temporary jail proposal with designated beds for municipal offenders would save them from the expense of having to do that themselves, logistical challenges, and liability associated with this type of arrangement for a longer period of time. And most of all, we want to have the capacity to house all offenders and inmates arrested in Springfield and elsewhere in Greene County, to keep all of our citizens in Greene County safe in the most cost-effective way we possibly can. Now, I'd like to turn it over to Sheriff Jim Arnott for his remarks. Sheriff?
Thank you, Commissioner. As the Commissioner stated, citizens have told us what their top priority is, and that's public safety. As the sheriff, one thing that I am an expert in is managing a jail and managing dangerous felons. As stated in previous reports, Springfield Police Department in their first quarter of crime stats showed an increase of 10% just in the first part of this year, 10% increased. I'm going to highlight a couple of those things for you. 4 homicides, 64 rapes, 86 robberies, and 365 aggravated assaults. These are just crimes against persons in the first part of this year. These numbers obviously drive our jail population up. But as sheriff, I fully support the Springfield Police Department and the police officers there and their war on crime, because that's what we're here for. They're doing a great job, and I support their efforts. We need to be putting all these offenders in jail. The priority of the county, as the Commissioner has said, and Springfield, obviously as within the county, is to make it as safe as we can. Letting these dangerous inmates, or allowing these dangerous inmates not a location to go to is a big problem. Not only the ones, we cannot put forth the efforts that we want to make arrests because the jail is full. We need to go in full force, as we did about 15 years ago, and take care of our 15,000 outstanding arrest warrants that we have currently right now. And that's going to be an increasing problem as we go on throughout the year. I want to talk a little bit about some statistics. About a week ago, I released a release called By the Numbers. And With that, by the numbers, it showed the different amounts of inmates when it came to the specific law enforcement agency. I'm just going to hit a couple stats, and then I'm going to hand this out to you so you'll have it for the future. I've done one for today, but about a week ago, we were housing 122 inmates out of county in different jails. Out of those 122 inmates, 53 of those inmates committed crimes inside the city limits of Springfield. Today, we have 116 inmates housed out of county, so our number has dropped. However, 69 of those inmates committed crimes inside the city limits of Springfield, arrested by Springfield Police Department. Our trends that we've showed you in the stats last week of our state offender inmates going up at a dramatic increase. The majority of those are Springfield Police Department cases. It matches with the crime rate, folks. When the crime rate is up in the city of Springfield, so is the jail population. As I've said before, I applaud the Springfield Police Department for their good work and continued fight on crime. However, we need to partner together to put people in jail. If we add more police officers, I add more deputy sheriffs, it's not going to make any difference if we have no place to put these offenders. The information that I gave you is directly off of Springfield's crime stats off their webpage if you need to refer to that. Commissioner?
Okay. Thank you, Sheriff. Jennifer McClure, our Director of Communications and Public Engagement, has a document with pretty much what I said in my remarks. We would entertain any questions at this point. I invite Commissioners Bench and Bentley to respond to any questions or make any comments they would like to make. If, in fact, you might have questions regarding the assault on the jail deputy yesterday, the sheriff will be available to you directly after we're finished here, and he'll be glad to answer any of your questions regarding that. What questions would you have?
You're obviously not happy with the city's response to the temporary alternative.
Well, we have yet to get a response from the city, so we don't have a response to even make an opinion about.
I think one of the reasons we're putting the information out there is to educate everyone, not only City Council, but to the issues that we have at hand. What is at stake tonight by City Council's voting? So we just wanted to highlight that information and provide that information to you all. And we're hopeful that the city will join us in having the #1 priority being public safety.
So are they voting on this tonight then, or?
No, they're voting on the ordinances where they want to spend, allocate the surplus money of $4.4 million. They're not voting on, at least we don't have any knowledge of them voting on our proposal that we presented tonight. I had a conversation with Ken McClure a while ago, and he said that would not occur.
So if City Council passes the appropriations bill tonight, which they could, or they could choose to table it instead, but if they do, it would put them in a very difficult situation legally in order to come up with the $3 million needed for the contract. So if they do pass, what is your next step?
We haven't made that decision yet. We've got some options on the table for us, but I hate to respond to hypotheticals. I don't want to solve a problem that has not occurred yet, and so when that occurs and we find out what their answer is, then we will get together and talk about the different options that we have. I want to remind you that that we indicated to them that if they wanted to pay the $3 million, $1 million per year at a time, we would do that. So they don't need $3 million in the bank right now. They just need the first $1 million. Then we would have written agreements on the second and third year.
Have you been in talks at all with the city? Do you have any inkling as to what they may decide to do? Have you been in talks with anyone at City Council over there?
They have had their meetings in closed session, and so we don't know, by the nature of closed session, we don't know what those conversations have been like. We know that there's been no decisions made. They also had a closed session today at 12:30, and Mr. McClure Mayor Pro Tem indicated to me that there was nothing new to report.
Do you guys know what kind of crime may have been prevented if we just had these extra jail cells?
No.
That's very difficult to speculate. I mean, it's just, you don't know who's staying and who's going. It's I think your answer, no, is the best answer. Anybody else?
What about the pending lawsuit between the city and the county? I mean, is that also kind of putting up a roadblock, so to speak, with talking about a solution?
I'll address that.
Okay, go right ahead.
It does put up a roadblock to communicate effectively about jail-specific items, because we can't communicate, because they've shut that off when they filed a lawsuit against myself and the commissioners. So it's very limited. What we do talk about is very general and an open meeting. And as you all have come to some of the open meetings, we'll discuss things in open meeting. But as far as the details of that, I'm good with it going to court and let the court making a decision on it. But really the city of Springfield's in the driver's seat on that, because they're the ones that actually sued me.
Yeah, the proposal last week, we didn't make this a condition of the proposal, but we asked them to drop the lawsuits, and they're their lawsuits against, as the sheriff said, against he and the commission, so we don't have any control over that. But we wanted to make the proposal last week, even in light of that. Yes, ma'am.
A good portion of the appropriations bill is going towards the police departments and to the fire departments for safety equipment, and to help hire new officers, basically.
Sure.
So, I mean, it does seem like the city is making public safety a number one priority through this spending, even if they don't direct it to the jail, right?
Well, you have to talk, that would be a question for them, I think, not for us. There's a fire truck in there, and there's some other things that do go to the police department, no question about it. I don't know what their emphasis on public safety is.
But are you saying that if they don't put money towards funding this jail proposal, then it seems like their number one priority is not public safety?
You'd have to ask them that.
Let me jump in on that question. I don't know if any of you will remember, but you can pull it up in the history. In this very building, when we had the financial task force together, the police chief and I stood up in front of the room and stated that our priority is not putting police officers and deputy sheriffs on the street. Our priority is to get the jail to where it can hold more people. The biggest issue that we have, it doesn't matter how many police officers or deputy sheriffs we put on the street, if there is no place to take offenders, then it does our job no good. It ties our hands. And we're getting to that point. And folks, we're not talking about municipal prisoners, although that seems to be at the topic. We're not even talking about that anymore. What we're talking about is the serious criminals that we're holding, much like the criminal that assaulted a deputy in the jail this weekend. So those are the ones we're looking at trying to hold. Both the police chief and I have stated it. We've stated it many times. The problem is when one part of the system grows and the rest doesn't, as in you keep continuing to get more police officers put on the street, but you don't support that by putting more prosecutors in the courtroom and more correctional officers in the jail and more space in the jail, it does no good. If our crime rate was going down, it would help, but our crime rate is not going down. Crime rate is going up at a pretty rapid succession inside the city of Springfield, as I showed those numbers.
How long have you been talking about jail overcrowding? How long has it been crowded?
Since 2002. I mean, we knew that there was a problem. Sheriff Merritt at that time addressed the issue. If you go back through historical articles, you will see that we've talked about it. The sheriff and the police chief at that time came together and had issues with the jail population. Every task force that was put together by the city or the county, or joint ones by the city and the county, both say the same thing. You need to have more bed space. Several estimates, you need 1,000 more beds, which I agree with. We need 1,000 more beds. So it's been talked about forever.
Why do you think that by this time there hasn't been space added?
there's no money. You know, we've got to that point where there are certain things that we have to do to keep going. What we've done this year, the reciprocity agreements by sending people out to other jails. Why are we reaching such a crisis point now? Because those jails are full, and now we've got to look for another option. So we take inmates to Johnson County and Sedalia every day. I mean, that's a long ways away. Soon we'll be going into northern Missouri, where it's going to take us a day drive. It's just some of those things are not feasible, but there's not much we can do. We've got to come up with a solution, and that's why it's a crisis.
So, Jim, you may want to correct me here. I think I'm right. To get to your question, I think that the jail has been expanded on 2 separate occasions since 2002. The situation is, each time that expansion has taken place, it's filled up. Now, where we're at today is that there's nowhere else to remodel in the jail that's even conceivable that we could do it in an economical manner to house more prisoners. And the fact is that when the fire department made its inspection of the jail, they said 601 was maximum capacity on a continual basis. And that's what the sheriff is trying to deal with here. So on at least 2 occasions, we have expanded at the county's cost, an expansion to the jail.
Any other questions?
Are inmates who are released on violent crime charges, are some of them being released because of the space issues?
The only one that can release an inmate is a judge. So each judge has their individual opinion. I would say that does factor into maybe their decision, but I can't answer for them specifically.
Anything else? All right, thank you, folks, and Sheriff will be available if you need to talk to him about the assault of the deputy in the jail. Thank you for coming, appreciate it. And if you have any other questions, feel free to contact Jennifer McClure. And she's got a document to pass out to you before you go. Yeah, and Kathy Usry, I wanted to mention her from the Sheriff's Department, okay?